Hey guys, yeah, I'm back with another live stream. I guess you can consider this a bit of a make good for yesterday's last video I did, or one of the last videos I did yesterday. Well, I was doing an overview, updated overview on the Metamorphosed to Malleability story series by Jaquelidor, aka Michelle of DeviantArt. And like I said, the reason I wanted to make this sort of a make good, and I do apologize for any lag that may occur or anything like that. So I do apologize for that, or any disconnect or something like that for some odd reason, if you know what I mean. Um, but yeah, if any there's any disconnect for some any odd reason, hold on for a second. All right, she's fine. I don't know. Sorry about that. My mom called. She lets me know that she got off early and that she's now at the gas station in Patterson to get gas and relax a little bit. But one thing about my mom, and I say this with all due love and respect for her, because it is Mother's Day weekend too, so I don't want to get her too angry. But and I say this with no disrespect, no offense to anybody else, but she's basically one of those kind of people that talks, and just when it looks like they're about to end the call, hang up, then they talk again. They start bringing something else up. Gee, I wonder where my second oldest sister gets it from. you know, and I say that with all due love and respect. But yeah, she she loves to talk. I'll put it that way. So she loves to talk, and nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with that. Again, I do apologize for any lags or anything like that. I'm about 7 minutes in, so you're thinking, man, what's going on? You probably heard that in the background. You're like, oh, it's one of those situations. You can't help it. It happens. It happens. This is why sometimes when I talk about, always finding opportunities to do things, you got to find opportunities, and that's what I've been doing. I've been trying to find, some opportunities to work around on things, but what are you going to do? It's just one of those situations that you can't control. And like I said, my mom's the kind of person that likes to talk a lot. Just when you think, okay, she's going to end a conversation, she talks more, and she brings something else up. Again, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong whatsoever. Like I said, nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong whatsoever. But sometimes you could, bring it up. They can, sometimes, what I'm trying to say is sometimes it looks like they're going to end the call, and all of a sudden I was just looking at something there. That's why it kind of distracted me. I do apologize. But sometimes you wonder, okay, they're going to end the calls, and they just keep going. So again, with all due love and respect, I think I know where my second oldest sister gets from. I mean, I talk a lot too, but she's, it's like I think you can calm down now, if you know what I mean. You kind of bring it down a little bit. But anyway, though, getting back on topic here. Getting back on topic. We are live, and we're going to talk about, basically, it's kind of a live stream, like I say, make good for yesterday, because yesterday, doing the original video I did on this, for some odd reason, the second video, even though it was one whole video, my GoPro is one of those kind of cameras that when you record in a certain format, will split in two at a certain time length. So I don't know what happened to the second part. It suddenly just decided to go slow when I was trying to edit it together on the Cyber Power Director. But anyway, though, I want to kind of make good on it, kind of do like I say, make good here, and kind of talk about this story series by Jaquelidor, aka Michelle. Now, as I mentioned before, when I first started talking about this, about over a year ago or so, and if not recently with the video yesterday, she is now, as of yesterday actually, she is now at 165 chapters. She is now at 165 chapters, if you will, when it comes to this series. She's at 165 chapters, or she likes to call them shifts. She's at 165 chapters / shifts of the series. She does do one-offs sometimes that are in continuity and sometimes not in continuity. So she does that. And, they're pretty good. They're actually pretty good when you read them. The fun, the little diversions, I'll put it that way. These one-shots that she does are like little diversions. So basically when you read them, it's kind of a distraction from the norm. It's kind of a break in and I say this with all due respect to Michelle, who's probably watching this. It's a break in the monotony of the original series. So she's able to, do a lot more with it if you will. She's able to do a lot more with these one shots, if you will, than she could with a with the regular ongoing series, that she focuses on a weekly basis or a bi-weekly basis, depending on her circumstance, if you know what I mean. Now, as far as the series goes itself, to kind of keep, like I said, kind of bring you guys up to date, if you will, as of today, the 7th of May, 2021. The series is actually pretty good. The series is, well, of course, it's pretty good. But the series has actually been really coming into its own. Even after 165 chapters slash shifts, it's really been coming into its own. I mean, there's been a lot of things going on in the series that really, have made it more of a series that's, beyond. It's basically what I'm trying to say is it's basically become a series that goes beyond just being about a girl with malleability, malleable. Easy for me to say. Hold on. It goes beyond just a story of a girl that has elastic, shape-shifting, liquefy, malleable powers, if you will, that allows her to become anything or anyone that she wants, or even splits herself in a couple of pieces to create clones or different artifacts and stuff like that. It goes way beyond that. It goes into storytelling and story plots that, when it comes to somebody having these kind of powers, you would kind of expect to be part of this, but the way Michelle does it is she does it in a way to where it's fun at times, where certain chapters and shifts are more about slice of life, more about Briella and her friends, discovering what she could do, having fun, stuff like that. And then there are times where certain chapters and all that become a lot more serious, a lot more darker at times, dramatic, if you will. It's excuse me, it's basically it's an entire total package of a story, all wrapped up in one. And to me, there's a good balancing of when it has to get serious, when you can lighten up, and kind of be in between. And this is all an original story based on concepts we'd seen before. I mean, one of the other story series that she currently works on, but she's kind of halted right now because the ending that she has on that in the last chapter she did for it, it's kind of making her think, all right, where do I go from here? Because in the last chapter she did for her Unlimited series, or Becoming Unlimited series, she basically had the character that developed similar powers, or as she puts it, Clayface like powers, ceased to be, because one of the things she put for this character is the ability to change into different genders, and while becoming these different genders, give them their own identities, their own personalities. And because of that, he's had a constant battle, an inner struggle, if you will, with these new personas that are, coming into their own, becoming their own, independent individuals. That it's got to a point to where two female alter egos that he created that are coming into that are, you know that are basically developing their own independence, basically wanted to have their freedom, and it came at the cost of his existence, because what they do is they end up splitting apart literally, and they get their own individual bodies. Excuse me. They get their own individual bodies, and the only catch for them in the story is they can't physically touch each other, or else they'll become the person once again that has these powers that brought them into existence in the first place. And like I said, that's kind of where she stopped off at for the time being, because she doesn't know where to go from here. She doesn't know exactly where to go from where she left off in the Becoming Unlimited series, which the last chapter, chapter 6, she entitled Stalking Unlimited, because basically by developing these other personas, he's getting confused as to who he is or what he wants. And he doesn't want to go through that. He doesn't want to go, through that situation um, whatsoever. He doesn't want to go through that, but yet he is. Oops, hold on. Nope. Trying to think what it is. Looking up something. Looking up my. Oh, I know. Nope. But like I said, he's trying to. Oh, that's not it either. Trying to think of something. Trying to figure out what the password was. So hold on, guys. I apologize for any lag that may be going on. But anyway, and this does have to deal with what I'm talking about because I want to share it with others here on DeviantArt. But anyway, like I said, um, his his character basically his character basically ceases to be because he's created all these different personas that he's getting that in the latest chapter. It kind of showcases the fact that he's getting kind of confused, like he doesn't know what he wants. It's like he wants something, he wants this, but he also wants that, but he's gotten to a point that it's very confusing for him. He doesn't know exactly what he wants anymore because he's created all these personas, and these personas are doing what they can to kind of get their own independency. They're trying to create their own individuality, and that's what leads us into the ending of that series in its recent chapter that basically um, that basically she has yet to capitalize on. She has yet to capitalize on, with its own situation, if you know what I mean. She has yet to, capitalize on that, if you will, by giving its own, individuality, if you will. And hold on while you check something out here. Trying to see something. But yeah, she wants to continue it, obviously, but like I said, it kind of left off in a cliffhanger to where it's like, okay, where do you go? Where do you go from here with the character and all that? That's basically what it is. It's like, where do you go with the character from here, or where do you go with the story from here? Because it's like you did one thing, but where do you go? Like I said, from here, how do you capitalize on that, if you will? It's like again, how do you capitalize on that and everything? So it's really intriguing, but we're not just. But the thing is, we're not here to talk about that. Obviously, we're not here to talk about that. What we're here to talk about, though, like I said, what we're here to talk about basically is the metamorphosized to malleability. And this series, basically, like I said, has been doing very good. It's become, like I said, it's really gotten that total package of lightheartedness, seriousness, darkness at times, dramaticness, a bit of comedicness, and slice of life as well. It's got it all. And this is all basically, like I mentioned, a story that's based off something that we've seen originally, or not originally, but prior in other stories. And it's an overall, it's a really fun story. Hold on. Sorry about that. Once again, portfolio calls up. I don't know why. I don't know why they just stop. They don't just stop calling. But anyway, like I said, this story series has has it all, and this is all based on something. And this is a story series based on something we have seen in other prior series before it. But this is done in a way that's, yes, it's kind of has its origins based in what we've seen in comics and stuff beforehand. But the way they work with it is they basically allow the character that has the powers, which her name is Briella, to not only go out, not only discover what else her abilities allow her to do, but also allows her to have some fun. It allows her to have fun with her friends, with her girlfriend as well, because yes, Briella in this reality or in this story is an LGBTQ. No offense, no offense, no offense, no disrespect. But she's LGBTQ and she has a girlfriend named Crystal. And to say that Briella, Crystal, and Alana, I think that's the other friend's name, have come a long way from character development wise in the story is saying would be saying something, because they have. They've come a very long way. I mean, for example, Briella, when she first developed these powers and started discovering what she could, when she first gained these powers, I should say, and started developing, not developing, well, yeah, kind of developing, but what I'm trying to get at is, and sorry, the phone ringing distracted me a little bit, so I do apologize. But like I said, ever since she gained these powers, she's come a long way since then. In developing, what she can, in being able to develop what she can do, or learning and developing what she can do with these powers. Because in some of the earlier stories, when she would start developing, her powers more so than ever, like they would start to develop and grow with her as more so than she expected. She also started to realize what she can do. One of the main things, of course, is shapeshift into anyone or anything she can think of. And when I talk about that, she's come a long way as a character, as our main character in development. That is saying something, because, and I know I repeated myself there, so I do apologize, but it is indeed saying something, because when she would first test out shapeshifting into inanimate objects and stuff, she would give herself a time limit. And she would realize that if she didn't change back after this time limit, that slowly but surely, if not quickly, her mentality would go from being herself to believing, even but what I'm trying, how I'm trying to explain this is, her mentality, if she doesn't keep herself on a time limit, or she didn't keep herself on a time limit in the earlier chapters / shifts, like Michelle likes to call them, if she didn't keep herself on a time limit or something like that originally, that and she forgot that, because being on a time limit allows her to kind of, like I said, be able to change back to normal. Well, in the earlier chapters, what I'm trying to say is that if she didn't keep herself on that time limit and she remained in a certain inanimate form, maybe, that over time her mentality would go from being herself to believing she was always what she had become. So in other words, there was this one chapter where Alana, I think, had a little too much to drink. So Briella, being the responsible friend, had her stay the night, at her house and sleep on her couch. And to keep her warm, Briella became a blanket. However, Briella didn't time herself for how long she would have to remain that way. And because she remained that way from basically very late evening, early morning to daylight itself, or very early morning, if you will, like let's say 6 to 8 hours later, because she didn't time herself, her mentality shifted from being who she is to believing she was always a blanket. Because in this chapter, when Alana gets up to go to the bathroom, her mentality isn't okay, I can shift back to normal and go to my room and all that, and no one would be the wiser, right? that wasn't the case, because what happened is when Alana got up to go to the bathroom, Briella got stirred, but Briella wasn't thinking of herself as herself, if that makes any sense. She wasn't thinking of herself as herself. Instead, she was thinking of herself as a blanket, and that her main purpose as a blanket was to keep the human that she was covering warm and safe. And she felt confused about that until Alana came back, put the blanket back on her legs, and laid back down. That, Briella, as a blanket, basically with the mentality of a blanket, felt secure and snug and like she was doing her own job. That is until Alana finally got up officially, to start the day, folded Briella's blanket form up, and then called for Briella. And then by calling her by her name is what snapped Briella back out of that different mentality of state, or state of mind, I should say, the different mentality state of mind. Because by saying her name, it reminded her, oh, yeah, that's who I am. And when I talk about character development, I like how basically in a following chapter or so, she takes Alana aside, because I think by this time Alana knows about her powers. I think she knows about them, and or at least is getting an idea that she has these powers. So Briella sits her down and explains, what's going on, and then even brings up that night where Alana had that blanket on her and explained it to her that that blanket was her, and that because she was in that form for so long, that she started to believe she always was that blanket. And this is where the character development for both Briella, Crystal, and Ilana comes in. Because Ilana basically is that best friend that tries to help ground Briella, or help her out with her powers. Because Ilana gets this, as described in the story, kind of gets this look of concern, of surprised concern, I should say, excuse me, of her friend being able to not only mimic an inanimate object like, say, a blanket, but the concern part, along with the surprise part, is the fact that what she's hearing is that if her friend doesn't time herself, for a certain amount of time to be in a certain form, that the longer she remains, the more she'll believe it. The more she believes she always was that form. In other words, she'll cease to be. And there was a moment in the middle. I wouldn't say the middle part of the, well, it could be around the middle portion of the series, where Briella became a dog, called herself Maggie, and because she stayed in this form for so long, she almost lost herself completely. And it took the encouragement of her friend, the sadness of losing her friend, and it took the, I guess you could say, the emotional sadness of Ilana thinking she's lost her friend, and if you will, to this form now that her friend no longer exists, for Briella to change back. And again, it was another part of character development, because Briella realized, okay, maybe I do need to kind of work better at keeping forms for so long, but to a point that I don't lose myself to those forms. Because I think by this time, she was learning more and more so that the more she kind of focused when she would change on, into whatever she changed into for a certain length of time, and focused on keeping her mentality as was, she'd be fine. And I guess because she wanted to be around Crystal so much as she could at that time, before letting her know how she felt, or even showing her powers, that she didn't realize that remaining as she did, she almost lost herself. So yeah, that's great. So yeah, Briella has great character development. And Lana being a supportive friend and helping her learn along the way what her powers are capable of, what they're able to do, and basically be there to kind of ground her, like I said, to make sure she doesn't go too far off the deep end. I think it's great. I think it's just tremendous. We do have another character that we don't see as much. I think his name is Victor, or something like that, Vic or Victor, and he's the boyfriend of Alana. But I've always felt, and I still do, that there might be more to him than being led on. But maybe we'll find out, um, down the line, or maybe we won't. Who knows? But it isn't just, like I say, Briella or Ilana. It's also Crystal, Briella's girlfriend, because at first when I think she finds out about this, she's a little apprehensive, a little bit, but then she starts being more receptive to the point that basically anytime her and Briella can have some personal NFSW fun, she's all for it. She is all for it. And there are several times just to kind of be close to each other and be around each other that Briella will mimic clothes for an entire day. Like and let me say this. When she starts mimicking clothes for Crystal, this is around the time where she basically has, learned how to control her mentality of keeping, herself intact when she has a long time run as different, objects or clothing or whatever. And there are several times in this series, like I said, where Crystal and her will do that. Where Crystal will have Briella around her as a piece of clothing, just so they can be close to each other. And then when they get home, or back to either her place or Briella's place, that's when they start to have a little NFSW fun. Like there's one part of the series where Crystal is, so just frustrated with the long week that she had. She gets home, shuts the door behind her, tears her clothes off, and says to Briella, "Well, I don't think it's just, no, wait a minute. Briella is her clothes. I think I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure. I think Briella might be her clothes, but basically she just drops. She gets home. She drops the suitcase. She takes whatever clothes that are not Briella off, and then she tells Briella, "Cover me completely, head to toe, cover me." And even though visually you don't see it, in your mind you picture the fact that she's covered her completely to where she's now just a faceless um, individual. She's just a faceless um, person, covered in latex. And what she does for them to have fun is she goes to her room and there's a mirror and she tells Briella, change me into a cat girl. So she changes her, I think, into a copy of Felicia from Darkstalkers. Then she says, turn me into a slime girl. And all Briella has to do is just kind of slag down a little bit or sag down a little bit, get all droopy, get all pinkish and everything, and thus cover her up just enough to where she's now a slime girl. And then she also says, turn me into you. And then Briella uses her powers to cover, to basically take the now covered up Crystal and basically turn into a copy of herself. So yeah, they have those kind of. So yeah, basically they have that kind of fun. There's even a part where they're on summer vacation, and Briella turns herself into a submarine that goes to the bottom of the ocean with Crystal in it, and it's described as though Crystal is now lying and bathing in the submarine that is Briella. And then of course there's a more recent chapter where they stay at a warehouse that Briella has now. And let's just say they get very, very close to each other in the next chapter, and just go from there. Let's just say that Briella, you know, uh, allows herself to be part of a certain area or region on Crystal, and that's all I'm going to say. But along with that, they also have one shots that evolve around Crystal and Briella, like one shot holiday related stories like Easter, Valentine's Day, Christmas. So they do that, and that's pretty good. Like I said, it's a bit of a diversion, bit of a, I wouldn't say much of a diversion, but yeah, it is kind of a diversion from the norm. It's kind of like a break from the norm. It's a nice little you know, a side story for them to have. And hold on for a sec. Sorry. Sorry about that. I thought I smelled something. I didn't. But anyway, like I said, as I adjust the mic here again. But like I said, basically they have those kind of one shots, which is a break from the norm. It's a nice little diversion, nice little distraction. And whether or not she makes it canon to the story, it's totally up to Michelle, to Jaquelidor, if she wants to make it part of the story. But along with that, as I mentioned, it also has a bit of drama, a bit of darkness at times. Not dark, but just just enough, if you will, to be suspenseful and all that. Um, and what I'm talking about is the fact that this is a subplot, which is going to be a main plot, or has been a main plot, but goes back to being a subplot at times, where we meet up with people that are part of this laboratory company where Briella got her powers, where she developed these powers, or gained them anyway. And we're introduced to several characters. Two of them, obviously, for the time being, as far as we know, have the best intentions for Briella in mind. The characters are known as Duncan and Greta. And then we have other characters that have been involved as well. There's this one character that Briella thought she could trust, but then turns out she was nothing more than a distraction, or you know a, a deceiver, because she tricked Briella into believing she was on her side, but she was actually on the side of a rebellious doctor called Dr. Zetweiler or something like that, Zetweiler. And mainly the main goal for both of them, at least the doctor, was they wanted the same abilities that Briella had. And we kind of knew, and we kind of got an idea that this doctor was up to something, and that maybe, but we didn't know what it was. And as far as the girl, I can't think of a name right now that helped him. No one suspected that she was on his side until she did something that kind of lured Briella into the trap, so that the doctor and potentially her could gain the same powers as Briella. And the way they did this is they threatened to hurt or harm Crystal, who they had somehow kidnapped. So, long story short, Briella had to do what she had to do to save her friend, or save her girlfriend. She tried to replicate her powers to give to the doctor so he could have them, but the results turned out to be fatal, because obviously his DNA didn't match up well with it, or basically the fact that you know there's something more to it, like maybe you have to be pure of heart or something. I don't know. But yeah, the doctor met a very fatal, gooey, messy end, to where there was nothing left of him but a puddle of bones. And then the girl that helped him out, I think, got arrested and is either serving time or is getting psychiatric and therapeutic help to kind of you know bring her back to normal, kind of help what's the word I'm looking for? Redeem her, if you will. Oh, rehabilitation. Oh, rehab her, basically to kind of help rehab her, out of being, like I said, like I would assume, or I'm trying to say, I would assume being manipulated by the doctor. So yeah, the girl that helped the doctor lure Briella in, like I said, got arrested, and from what I could tell, is either serving jail time or she's getting psychiatric and therapeutic help to help rehabilitate her, rehab her, if you will, back into society or something like that. And and then and then we have another character. Her name is Doctor. Her name is Prieta, something like Prieta. And obviously, you could tell there's something up with Prieta. You could tell there's something up with her. Um, because one of the things they talk about, in this subplot, or this half plot, or this secondary plot, if you will, in the story, that becomes a main plot at times when necessary, and it's going to be very soon. Um, but basically, you could tell something's going on with this Peretta girl, because Duncan and Greta are trying to figure out, okay, how did the Dr. Zetweiler get access to the research? How was he able to do this to be able to lure Briella into this trap to try to gain, the ability she had? So, like, they're wondering how was the research, how was security to the research breached. They don't know exactly what happened, and my screen just went into standby mode again. I do apologize for that. But again, like I said, they're not sure exactly what's going on. Of well, not exactly. Well, they're kind of sure about what's going on, but they're not sure exactly, how this all happened. How did the doctor, like I said, get access to the research? How was he able to breach security? And this Peretta girl, I'm sorry if I pronounce it wrong, pronounce the name wrong, but it sounds like just by reading this, the chapters like this recent one, it seems that just by reading this chapter 165 and then some previous chapters where she shows up for this secondary plot, which, like I said, becomes at times the main plot. It's almost like you could tell she's up to something. Like maybe it's almost like all signs are going doot 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 doot. Here's your suspect. Here's the person that allowed that breached security for the doctor. Who's the one that helped him? Doot 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 doot. It's almost like all signs, all arrows are pointing towards her as the main suspect, as the one that breached the security. Because they're always talking about only a high-ranking official can do all this. Only a high-ranking official can do this. And yet, here you have seemingly a character that's in that position that obviously may be the one that caused all this to happen, but yet it's not being brought up. But the way you can kind of tell she's kind of in that main suspect mode as being the one responsible for that doctor getting the access that he did is how she reacts about certain things. Like in the most recent chapter, they mentioned about talking to the review board or something like that, and she instantly just pipes up and goes like, "Are you crazy? Are you sure you want to do that? Are you crazy?" And you think, okay, why is she piping up so quickly? Why is she so quick to respond in such a way? And again, that gives off the vibes that she probably had something to do with it. Secondly, is also in the same chapter, this most recent one, when they suggest she team up or report to somebody or talk to somebody else, she gets this, or they suggest something else that involves her. She gets this little smirk on her face saying, "Oh, this should be fun," and all that. Because one of the things that Duncan and Greta want to do, mostly Duncan, is because of all the hectic chaos that Briella and Crystal will put through, he wants to respect their privacy for the time being. He wants to give them the privacy, but he's not above probably putting, like, let's say, security drones in the area, undetected, that is, to kind of keep an eye on what's going on, to make sure there's no suspicious activity. And you can kind of tell that this Prieta girl might end up sabotaging that. Not saying that's going to happen, but it's almost like I said, all arrows and everything are pointing, all signs are like pointing towards her as being the one responsible for the doctor, getting his hands on the research that, that he needed to lure Briella into a trap to try to gain the same powers that she has. So, so there is a great, so there's that, so again, there's that darkness, that dramaticness, that, that action adventure, suspensefulness, if you will, that storytelling that, again, as I said earlier, makes this a total package all wrapped up in a bow for us to enjoy, because it's that good. It's that good. And I don't think I can say any more than that. I really don't think I can say any more than that, because of the fact that when you watch this, or not watch it, but when you read this, you're going to want to know what happens next. You're going to want to know what happens next. So my advice, if you haven't read it yet, read it from the beginning as best as you can. If you want to binge read it on a trip or something like that, do it. You will enjoy it. You will not regret it. And if you want to read the one-shots to kind of get you in the mood, go ahead and read the one-shots. I mean, heck, out of inspiration of these characters in the story series, like I said in the video yesterday, which, again, this is a Make Good live stream of, I did a series. I did a one-shot non-canon story called Crystal and Briella's Dreams Come True. Now, of course, it was a second revise of an original story that I did with some other characters, but I've always wanted to do something to kind of contribute, even in a non-canon one-shot way, to this series. And this Crystal and Briella's Dreams Come True non-canon one shot, I thought was, well, no, not thought, but is basically my way of doing it because I enjoy the series that much. I enjoy the series that much, and I'm hoping to do more based around something like that down the line. But anyway, though, like I said, this series is really good, and like I said, the final part that I talked about really is what will bring you in because, I mean, even though it seems predictable as to who was responsible, who allowed the doctor to gain the access that he got to do what he tried to attempt to do, even though it seems obvious that we know we're reading the story and by reading it, we're visually seeing who it is that could have been behind it. It's still a guessing game because Michelle may twist things. She may throw a monkey wrench into the works and say, "Oh, you thought it was her, but yet it's this person instead." So who knows? But obviously, right now, Duncan and Greta again want to make good for what happened to Briella, and like I mentioned earlier, with the warehouse deal that Briella has, where her and Crystal spent the night of in one of the more recent chapters. Basically, that's a warehouse that was gifted to Briella because of what happened. Yes, it's the same warehouse where she was lured into by that Dr. Zeltwalzer, but they've refurnished it, remodeled it to where even though it's the same place, they fixed it up enough to where Briella could call it her own. And in the most recent chapter, they've basically her and the Greta girl have basically basically what's the word I'm looking for? Basically singled out one room, if you will, to basically use as a classroom, so Greta can teach teach Briella more about what she could be capable of doing with her powers. Mostly be able to blend into scenery as whatever she needs to be without thinking about it. Like if she's in a mall following somebody and she's next to a bunch of fake palm trees, if you will, she can instantly just, without thinking about it, blend into a palm tree, become a fake palm tree plant, and not worry about it. And basically act like she's always been part of the scenery, so that she doesn't get detected. And the way this is hinted at is that it seems that Greta has a bit of history in espionage, FBI espionage, because when Briella tries to hide herself as a fire extinguisher, she's able to point her out real quickly, and she points out that if you look at the blueprints for the building, there was no fire extinguisher in the area where you placed yourself at. And this is not just with Greta either. There's a recent chapter because it takes place during the winter from its timeline, Christmas time, if you will, or close to it, where Ilana is able to detect where Briella is at, because Briella likes to play this hide and seek game with Crystal and Ilana at times to see if they can find her wherever she's kind of hiding in plain sight at. And Ilana or Alani is able to figure it out when she sees 3 snowmen, but one snowman doesn't have any tracks next to it or anything, any foot tracks or something like that. And she basically points to that snowman and says, "Aha, caught ya." So, but what I'm trying to say is, so yeah, basically it's getting to a point now where even Alana, along with Greta, who is an espionage specialist, obviously from FBI days or whatever, is able to detect Briella and where she's hiding, because Briella doesn't, add, anything that could throw them off. Like when Ilana figured out she was a snowman, or the third snowman on the left, I think, she was able to detect it because she didn't see no, snowball track or any trails left by a snowball or any foot tracks next to her. And Briella realizes that, okay, the next time I try this, I got to add in that stuff myself. Or Crystal's got to help her out in doing it. But overall, though, the story series, like I said, is really good. Besides all that, it's really good. And it's getting really interesting, like I said, because right now we are at basically as of yesterday, the 6th, we are at 10. As I said in the video yesterday as well, we are 10 weeks away from the 175th shift / chapter, which I'm pretty sure Michelle might, if not does have something special planned. But right now, like the 13th will be 166, the 20th will be 167, the 27th will be 168. And then looking at the calendar, um, the 3rd will be 169, the 10th will be 170, the 11th, not 11th, but the 17th will be 171, the 24th will be 172, and then, if I'm right, the 1st will be 173, the 8th will be 174, and then July 15th will be 175. So if nothing comes up or anything for Michelle, like family wise or personal wise or whatever, by I would say around July 15th, around that time frame, or the week of July 15th, is when you're going to get the 175th shift / chapter of Metamorphosed to Malleability. Now, I don't know exactly, as I've talked about before, I don't know how long Michelle's going to do this. I don't think anybody does, but I'm pretty sure she has a goal in mind, like a number. So we'll have to see what happens. My assumption is, since we're at 170, since we'll be getting it, since basically it'll be 175 on July 15th, then I would almost venture to say that 10 weeks from then will be 185, and that would be, I would say, would be in September. And then 10 weeks from that should be about November. That would be 195. And then I would suspect that by New Year's, or at least a little afterwards, in January 2022, is when we'll hit 200. So I would suspect that if she is limiting, her main goal is to do 200 shifts / chapters and end it there, which I'm not saying it is, then she'll be ending it at the start of 2022. But we'll have to see. Again, she might decide to continue it. She might decide to end it a lot sooner. But I've got a feeling that she does have a goal in mind to how many shifts / chapters she wants to, integrate into the story, if you will. Then I would say, she has a goal in mind. It would be about 200, but we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. But overall, though, guys, this is definitely a series you should check out. Like I said, she has the other one called Becoming Unlimited, which right now is only at 6 chapters because she's not. I'm pretty sure she's trying to figure out where to go with it next, but we'll have to see because of the way, like I say, it ended. At least chapter 6, that is. But overall, though, the main focus for her is this. She also has a new weekly series she's doing for the month of May called Melting Me, or Melting May, which is MEI, Melting MEI, May. So she's got that going on a weekly basis every Monday. And overall, there's really not much more I could say. So I would, again, suggest checking it out. The links are in the description. I hope you guys will like it. And that's all I can say. So till next time, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. But thank you all for watching this second live stream in a row today on this TGIF Friday before Mother's Day. And until next time, guys, take care. God bless. Thank you all for watching live. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Again, check out Michelle Jaquelidor's Metamorphosed to Malleability story series, her one-shots associated with it, as well as her other series that she's working on. Give her enough support, guys, because the more support an artist or a writer gets, the more encouraging it is for them to continue the series, to continue the love for this kind of storytelling and the environment they involve the characters in. So until next time, though, guys, like I said, have a good day. Have a good Friday. Have a good Mother's Day weekend to all you moms out there and all your families out there. Get vaccinated when you can. And I will talk to y'all later. God bless. Take care. Thank y'all for watching live, and I am out.